Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Uposatha observance. Oh, okay. I want to clarify something. What I said in the meditation is, as a householder, you're distracted by your family responsibilities. I shouldn't use distracted. That word is inappropriate. I should have used fulfilled. As a householder, how can you be distracted by your family responsibilities? You should be fulfilling them, right? But at the time of fulfilling your householder responsibilities, how can you use such opportunities to actually grow and mature? That is what I wanted to say, and I used distracted the last, towards the last, at the end of the instructions. So I want to apologize, and that is inappropriate use of words. Okay, so.
It can be distracting.
If it is family responsibility, it shouldn't be distracted. Unless it's not irresponsibility, unless it's sort of like extra entertainments out of the scope of familiar responsibilities, right? So that could become distraction. That could become distractions. Okay, so yeah. I didn't say that because I was purposely focusing on anybody. Okay. No, nothing. It just came. So I thought, oh, why am I talking about householder tonight? I was thinking why I said that also. So, but good. At least it's good to remind you. Okay, so Uposatha observance. We're talking Uposatha observance. I guess that's why I talk about householder responsibilities during meditation. Uposatha observance. Uposatha, 八关斋戒. Okay, so Uposatha is 八关斋戒 in Chinese. So Uposatha observance is the Buddha said, when O monks, the Uposatha observance is complete in 8 factors. It is of great fruit and benefits. And actually, this is actually Uposatha observance is the teachings to the householder. And in here, the Buddha actually was talking to the monks, telling them about Uposatha. And I guess for the reason of wanting the monks to actually keep on supporting the householder in their spiritual pursuit. So Uposatha, he said, is complete in 8 factors. So, and what are the benefits of this observance, observing the Uposatha? He said, for it is of great fruit and benefits. And we will see the fruits and the benefits of observing the Uposatha. And it luminous and pervasive too. So those are the teachings that the Buddha said how wonderful is actually observing the Uposatha, and he said how to observe Uposatha. It didn't say here, but that's what the teaching of the Buddha is about. Observing the Uposatha is one has to really go into the monastery, okay, during special days, I'm going to talk about those special days. And then after they've gone in, then they will take the precepts from the preceptor, and those are the egg factors, the egg precepts from the preceptor, and it lasts for 1 day and 1 night, so 24 hours. And in the old days, when people observe Uposatha, they actually, or nowadays too in Southeast Asia, they actually go into the monastery early in the morning, and then they take the precepts, then they follow the whole routine of the monastics. So if the monastics meditate at 8 o'clock, they meditate at 8 o'clock. Then after that, they might go out to do some chores, and then maybe 11:30, they will have lunch together in the dining room, which then they will have an offering, and very likely the abbots or the abbot will give a teachings after the meal. And then they may take a break, or they may go into the kitchen to help. Then in the afternoon, they may have Dharma teachings, or whatever that the monastery wants them to do, or whatever monastics do. Then they may be assigned to do to help the monastics, or they may be assigned different chores. Then in the evening, then a lot of places would go into the evening service, or meditation, and then Dharma talk, and then they will retreat to sleep at around 9:30, and then next morning they get up at 3:30, and then have a morning service or morning meditation, and then have the breakfast. And it depends on the tradition. Some tradition, the preceptor, they have to sit in front of the preceptor and to sort of give up those 8 precepts before they leave to go home. And some preceptor says you don't need to. As long as you leave the monastery, then you have given up those 8 precepts. So those 8 precepts last for 1 day and 1 night, but they cannot eat during we'll talk about that here. They say don't eat at night, but it's really don't eat after the lunch noon hour. It depends in the winter or in the summer, because how the sun moves, right? So it depends, and then if they don't have the clock, then they look at the shadows of your own shadow. So if the shadow moves to west, then you stop eating, you can't eat. If you pass that, and you still haven't eaten, then sorry, no more food. I mean, of course, for householder, but for monastics, that's how, because sometimes they really don't, they can't make it. For example, it's when they travel, and they cannot make it on time for lunch, and then they look at the shadow and say, okay, that's it, no more food. And they skip food for that day until next morning. So in the next morning, for example, in the old days, they don't have clock or whatever, and how can they determine when they will actually be able to eat? Is when they in the dark, when you're able to see the shadows of your 5 fingers. And that's what they say, the sun is up. That means the sun is up, that you will be able to see the shadow of your 5 fingers. So the brightness, the form of the brightness actually arises. That's why you can see the shadows of your fingers. Then you are allowed to eat then. In the old days, because there are no clock, nothing, right? So how to observe is, as long as it says, as long as they live, but really it's as long as they live. If it is because it is talking about the arahants. As long as they live the arahants, because the arahants actually are abiding to these 8 factors. So it's talking about the arahants. But for householders who are taking the Uposatha observance is 1 day and 1 night. So they are actually taking the example, the arahants are their role model. And then to imitate the arahants in each respect. So how do they imitate? How long do they imitate? For 1 day and night. For this day and night, will do likewise. So this is how they observe, because they are taking the example from the arahant. The arahant actually abide by that for the whole life. Okay, so then they will spend 1 day and 1 night, 24 hours. So, for example, some people said, "Can I do this at home?" Some preceptors allow them to do this at home after they have taken the precepts, and they don't. At night they go back home to sleep. Then if they are married, then we'll talk about that. If they're married, of course, then there's different things, and then the precept will still hold until the next day. And some preceptors will say, okay, you have to actually announce in front of me that you're going to give up those precepts. Some preceptors say you can just leave, or some preceptors say you can just say it to anybody who understands your language, that I am letting go of these 8 precepts. So it really depends on the preceptors. So in the old, actually I haven't read any. Well, in the original Vijnana, the precepts is said that it has to be given up in front of the preceptors. But I guess throughout the history, throughout the evolutions of the Buddhist teachings, and sometimes it's really not very convenient for people to follow this so strictly. So that's why some of the preceptors have find other a little bit more convenient ways to actually conduct this. Okay, so which days that a householder could observe the Uposatha, and they could go into the monastery. These are all lunar days. Okay, lunar days, lunar calendars. So it's according to the full moon, the half moon, the new moon, and what else? So the 15th and the 30th. So it's the full moon and the half moon, and then every 8th day. So the 8th and then the 23rd. Okay. So and then to add it to, people can add it to 10 Uposatha days. So first, 8th, 14th, 15th, 18th, 23rd, 24th, 28th, 29th, 30th. So those are the 10 Uposatha days. So that means in these either 6 days or 10 days, that if the monastery is open for Uposatha observance, then householders can go in to take this. Or some monasteries open also on Buddha's festive days, like the Vesak or the Guanyin Pusat festive day. They do open. So it depends on each monastery. Okay. So you can vow to observe Uposatha on just the full moon or the new moon, or you can vow to observe Uposatha on 6 days, or you can vow to observe on 10 days. That means on these 6 days, on these 10 days, or on this Buddhist day, you actually abide by these 8 factors, whether you have taken 5 precepts or not. Okay. You can do this, yeah. So So this is actually really not a rite or ritual. Don't think that it's a rite or ritual. It is actually a way for householder to grow, to mature, and to experience the monastic life. Okay, so it's not people. A lot of times people think, oh well, you know, it's a rite and ritual, and I do this for the merits. No. It's actually really an experience of a monastic life and an experience of a renunciate life, and also it's actually during the day the preceptors or particular monastery could ask you to do prostrations, 108 prostrations, or multiples of 108 prostrations. Why? For the student to actually to seek penitence and to develop this humility. And why do we need to do this? Because you are walking on the path to purification. Right, so it really depends on the particular monastery and the particular preceptor. So it why would that there were 6 days or 10 days? It's said that in the Nikaya, in the collected series discourses. On the sixth Uposatha days, it says that it was the 4 Great Kings, say Dai Thiên Wang. The 4 Great Kings actually come to the human world to check on human beings, whether they are actually performing wholesomely or they are performing unwholesomely. So it's believed that, you know, because it was. When the Buddha actually, before he went into Nibbana, he actually told the king of Sakka, he said, well, when I'm gone, please look after these human beings who are walking on the path to liberation. Please support them. Please protect them. So that's the promise of the Sakka and the king to the Buddha before he went into Nibbana or Parinibbana. So that's why in the collected discourses it was said that it was believed that the 4 Great Kings actually come during these 6 Uposatha days to check on the human world. So. Yeah, so you got a lot of protectors, you see, okay? So remember, bear in mind, this is not a rite or ritual or just an offering so that you will get great merits. It is a real practice to really understand the renunciate life and how to enlighten and inspire oneself to follow such path, okay? And as you see, as I told you just now, on the Uposatha day, you go into the monastery and you stay there, and your time schedule is actually very tight. There is a lot of things to do, and so it's designed to help householders to actually take up a very diligent and a vigorous practice on Uposatha day. Yeah. So when it is built, we're going to have Uposatha observance. Yeah. That's what I want to do for the people in the West, to actually experience a monastic life. Otherwise, you just come to meditate in the morning, and then you see us walking our hell out. And you just walk by, hi, Sifu, you're very busy today. Yeah, very busy today. But yeah, you know, I think it's actually a very, very nice experience. And so that you learn how to be contented with a very frugal life, a very simple life. Okay, so So what are the 8 factors? It's actually very simple. The 8 factors are, the first one is the arahants abandoned the destruction of life and abstain from taking life, or abstain from destruction of life, and or even using weapons with the rod and weapon laid aside. So they are conscientious and merciful and dwell compassionately towards all living beings. So they leave the rod and weapon aside. So what about if a Buddha would want to come into observing Uposatha Day? Do you think the monastery would allow it? Of course, of course. You know, coming in to observe one day and not killing one day is better than not doing it, right? So it is for everybody, and it is for everybody to learn how to develop compassion, not to hurt, not to harm, and not to kill. So merciful, and I would rather use the word compassion. Or kindness rather than merciful, conscientious, of course, towards all living beings, whether it's really human beings or whether it is just ants or what, or spiders or mosquitoes. Okay, so that is the first factor. So the second factor is abandon the taking of what is not given. So we all know, and that is what an arahant does. Is throughout the whole life they don't do this. They are keeping a very high standard of morality, sila, and so they abstain from taking what is not given. They abandon and they abstain. So they abandon, that means they completely give up. They abstain, that means they avoid doing that. And then they accept only what is given. So even if the food is being put there and said this is offered for the Sangha, if it is not given, then they won't take it. So that's why all the monastics' food are supposed to be given. So at Po Lam here, we have a very simple lunch. Lunch ceremony, you could say. So we offer, but if we have anything, we will put maybe candy, maybe chocolates, or maybe nuts, like little individual packets. We'll put it on each person's place beforehand. So that is offered, that is given. Okay, so the most ideal is what? The food there, we don't serve ourselves, it will be provided to us, it will be given to us. That would be the best. Of course, in here is talking about taking any other things too, right? Clothes, paper, whatever, anything. So and expect only what is given. So not expecting anything that is not being given. Or if we see a whole bag of chips there on the table, but it's not opened and it's not given, then we won't expect that chips to be given to us, even though it's sitting there. Okay, even though it's been brought in, but if it's not being given that day, then it's not given. Okay, so. And dwell with honest hearts devoid of theft. So this is actually, of course, this is geared towards the householder, but even that, even for monastics or for householder, it could be very trivial things. It could be really trivial things. even a leaf, right? I have shared this story before. You probably haven't heard it. I'm going to tell you again. I remember many years ago, Sifu has died 10 years, so probably 12 or 13 years ago. Okay, I went back to Hong Kong. I went back to Po Lam in Hong Kong, and at the main entrance of Po Lam in Hong Kong, they have a big, huge Bodhi tree. And I just love Bodhi leaves. So I wanted to bring back a few Bodhi leaves so that I can write calligraphy on it. And I didn't pick the one from the tree, and I saw them all fallen down because I think it's autumn. Yeah, they're falling down. Sifu wasn't at Po Lam at that time anymore, but one of my Dharma brother is the abbot. Was the abbot. Anyway, so I picked up a few Bodhi leaves on the ground, and I went into the reception hall, the reception house, and my Dharma brother was sitting there. I said, Abbot, can I take these few Bodhi leaves back to Canada? And he looked at me, he said, they don't belong to me. I have no right to give it to you. I said, understand. So I went outside, put it back in the original spot where I picked them up. Even him didn't give me the permission to pick out those Bodhi leaves. Those Bodhi leaves were going to go into compost next day, because every morning we sweep everywhere. And I'm sure that because that is a routine, right? So it will be going into the compost the next day. But he will not give me the permission to take, because he said, they don't belong to me, it belongs to the monastery. So it's actually very trivial things. It's true, nothing here belongs to us. Nothing here belongs to us. It belongs to the 10 directions, because everything is being donated from the 10 directions, right? So which one belongs to me? Which one is my possession? Nothing. That's why after we die, all our possession, all our belongings will be displayed in the hall, and the Sangha will have an assembly. And then by seniority, they can pick my belongings. Okay, maybe they are of my same height and think, okay, I'll take her rope. And this one says, I'll take her pen. And this one says, I'll take her socks. Of course, the most junior has the last turn to take, like my mango, right? My famous mango story. So that's how we actually upkeep these precepts. Okay. So the third one is abandon sexual relations, and this is observing complete celibacy. Complete celibacy. Okay, not even adultery, not even talking about adultery. It's really complete celibacy. So living apart, refraining from the coarse practice of sexual intercourse. So what happens if it is a couple? You have a husband and wife or partners. If you are taking the Uposatha observance, but you go home and spend the night, then that night you have to sleep separately. That night, only that night. And then the next night you can go back and sleep in the same room or same bed. If you don't have separate rooms, then sleep on the floor or sleep on the couch. So that night has to be really complete celibacy or complete no physical contact. Even sleeping on the same bed is not advisable, because anything could happen. So that why would you think this is so important? Celibacy. I have talked about that before. You probably haven't heard it.
I think if you're not practicing celibacy, then you're more likely to cling and crave and be attached.
Yeah, craving. And craving. If you're not practicing celibacy, you tend to actually clinging and craving a lot. And the Buddha has actually taught in his teaching is sex. Sex is actually one big obstacle to spiritual life. So that is his teachings. So abandon false speech. That is the fourth factor. Abstain from false speech. Speakers of truth, and you are aware that the false speech actually entails the 4 different kind of speech. Okay, right? So the 4 different kind of unwholesome speech. So speakers of truth, adherents of truth, and trustworthy and reliable. And so this here actually includes all 4. Wholesome speech, like honest words, kind words, no slandering, and no gossiping, and no idling. So this is the 4th factor. And then the 5th factor is abandon wines, liquors, and intoxicants. So you all aware about intoxicants, wines, and liquors, and abstain from them, because they are the basis of negligence. If somebody is taking these intoxicants, liquors, and wines, they could easily lose their control or lose the clarity of the mind, and lose the control of his or her own behaviors, and could actually breach all the other precepts, right? So with these intoxicants, we all know nowadays with these pots, with this marijuana, and even with marijuana being legalized, it is still considered as an intoxicant if you are not using it in a medical way. Okay, so if it is just for medical use, really as a medical prescriptions, then it's not considered as intoxicants. But it is used as a leisure, or then it is considered as intoxicants. Okay? So, eat only 1 meal a day and refrain from eating at night. So this is so slightly different nowadays. Not just 1 meal a day, it's 2 meals a day. And not refraining from eating at night, is actually refraining from eating after lunch, after noon, after 12 o'clock, or if it's in winter, is sort of 11:30, right? So it is kind of different in summer and winter, but mostly it's 12 o'clock. Okay. And of course, some people, I have known some monastics who actually abide by this rule with their own standard is, I vow to eat just 2 meals a day. Breakfast or evening, or when they travel, they eat breakfast and lunch anytime if they're traveling, but keep it to 2 meals a day. So these 2 meals a day, or the next one is, we finished talking about the next ones first, abstaining from dancing and singing instrumental music and suitable shows, or adorning themselves with garlands, applying scents and ointments. So, dancing, singing, instrumental music, and suitable shows. So these are all like essential pleasures things, right? And you have a question? Oh, okay. Adorning themselves with garlands, that means beautifying themselves, like earrings, makeup, and except the wedding ring. Any jewelries are considered as adornments. And scents and ointments, that means perfumes. Of course, if it's like lubricating, like hand cream and all that, that is okay, but free of fragrance ones, unscented ones. Okay, so and then the next one.
What would be the difference between an unsuitable show and a suitable show?
Unsuitable shows, like going to a show like what should I use? Like going to opera.
Unsuitable?
Yeah. Opera or theater. And suitable show is like you're watching some of the shows about Xuanzang Fashi, the one who goes into India, taking so much time, and his documentaries about him, or about Master Xun living 120 years old and all his life being documented. Those are suitable shows because those actually strengthen your practice. Whereas other shows actually is fulfilling your sensual desires.
So, like watching documentaries or National Geographic, would that be a suitable show?
Those could be suitable shows, could be, but if you're starting to crave for those shows, when you don't have an opportunity, it's only when you're observing this uposatha. Okay, but when you're not observing, of course, as a householder, you can watch all kind of shows. But still, there are suitable shows. There are unsuitable shows. Well, unsuitable shows you could see. You could actually use this pornographies. Those are unsuitable shows.
Parental guidance movies.
Yeah, like right. Those are unsuitable anytime, right? And suitable shows anytime is like National Geographics, those shows. And even sometimes if you say, okay, watching news are okay because you need to keep updated, especially as a householder. Remember, bear in mind we are talking about uposatha. We're not talking about monastics. And even as monastic, I watch news because I need to update on how the world is. But I don't go into details. I just watch the headlines, and I don't go into like other things except those really world news. So bear in mind what he said here, those unsuitable shows for householder on a uposatha day. Okay, So if you're home, as I just said just now, some people, maybe some monasteries do not have accommodations for householders to stay overnight. So they have to come and take the precepts, and then in the evening they go home and finish off the Uposatha observance at home because of conditions. So then by the time they go home, they may turn on the TV and then they watch all sorts of shows. Then they breach the precepts. And we all have to know. That's why I want to finish, and I can talk about this. So abandon the use of high and luxurious beds and seats. So what is considered as high? So anything that is, we have a standard Canadian size, right? 18 inches. And single bed is how many? 39 inches wide, and 72 or 78. So that is the standard size of beds in Canada. So anything that is higher than those are considered as high beds, to me, because the Buddha didn't say which is high bed. So that for me, anything that is higher than the standard in the country then is considered as high, because some countries they sleep on the floor. So if you sleep on anything like higher than the floor, they probably think that you are sleeping on high beds, right? So but of course in the old days, the kings, you can see from the old movies, like British movies, they have like really high beds. They need a step to climb up to the bed, and big huge mattress. Right? So those are considered as high beds. So abstain from using those, and make use, my fingers were too fast. Make use of low resting places, either small beds or straw mats. Okay, so from 6, 7, and 8. 6, 7, and 8, these are the precepts that help us to actually learn how to deal with craving, right? Especially, there's really no especially, all 6 of them, all 3 of them. And so then you say, well, what about you, Sifu, when you travel, don't you sleep on high beds when you go? I mean, a lot of times I need to stay in hotels, especially if I teach in China. If I teach in Hong Kong, then I have a so-called place I call home to go back to. But in China, I always stay in, most of the time I stay in hotel, and hotels are always high beds. What do? Don't you sleep there? I sleep there. I sleep, but I don't roll around. You see, you have to understand why what is the purpose, what is the intention of having these precepts, is to help us to actually deal with this craving, diminish this craving more and more. So if you sleep on a high bed, it's, oh, nice, and then you roll around from this side to that side, from this end to that end, and using this all 6 pillows on the high bed, then you, right? That's you? Oh, gosh. I'm sorry. I said 6 pillows, and Laurie was saying, that's me. I said, you? She said, yeah, I'm sorry. Don't worry. Today you learn something. Then you can progress. Right?
Something to work on.
So I always, when I go to when I stay in a hotel, I always sleep on the side of the bed. I seldom sleep on the center of the bed, and always on the side. And the side is harder too. Those high beds are very difficult for my back. And at the end of the day, I can't get up. because they all sink in the center. So on the side is so much better. so sorry. So these three precepts actually are helping us to actually learn how to improve in that aspect of craving. Okay. So the Buddha said here, when you observe Uposatha, you have a great fruit and benefit. And the simile that he gave is, if somebody has actually exercised sovereignty and dominion over 16 great countries, that's a big, huge piece of land, right? 16 great countries in here in page 175. And he said, if somebody is observing Uposatha, the Uposatha, and then the merits that they get, it way surpass those people who have exercised sovereignty and dominion over 16 great countries. So you can see the benefit and the fruits that observing Uposatha is really incomparable to even sovereignty and dominion. Okay, and in the realm of the four great kings, so he started to talk about human life, and then starting to ascend to heavenly beings. Okay, so in the realm of four great kings, remember we talked about a couple of weeks ago. So, through the sensual world, and then to the Loka, Dhamma Loka, and the Rupa Loka, and all that. So in the realm of the four great kings, and he said, it's one single day equals to 50 human years, and in that Diva world, 1 month is 30 days, not 28, not 29, it's 30, or 31 days. It's 30 days, and 1 year is 12 months. So 1 year is 360 days, and one single day in that Diva's world, in that four great king world, equals to 50 human years. So in the breakup of our body, if people have observed this Uposatha, in the breakup of the body, they could be reborn in these four great kings. Remember that? The fortunes of rebirth in the future, right? And then the lifespan of the Divas here is 500 celestial years. So how many human years? 9 million human years. You cannot believe this. That is that kind of fruit. You think human life is long? Come on. Don't be so innocent. Don't be so ignorant. Wait. So upon breakup of the body, human body, one who observes the Uposatha, complete in these 8 factors, if they are really abiding and to these 8 precepts, upon the breakup of this human body, they will be reborn in the company of these great kings. So of course, even though they are reborn in these great kings, not necessarily they will live 9 million years in the realm of four great kings, because there are still like very different levels, right? So they could live 1 million years, maybe 2, maybe 3. So it depends on really how many Uposatha observance you have done and how well you have done it, right? And so and then he goes on in the Tavatisma Divas is 1 day equals 100 human years. And in this Diva world, their lifespan is 1,000 celestial years. So total in human years is, I don't even want to count, 36 million. Is that right? Huh? Okay, 36 million human years. Okay, so in the Yama Divas, one day, I just wanted to do a summary so that these astronomical figures really dawn on you. Say, wow, like this. Okay, then I'll better do some Uposatha observance. So one day is 200 human years in the Yama Divas, and lifespan is 2,000 celestial years. And so the total human years is 144, don't know how to say this. 1 billion?
No, 144 million.
144 million human years. I don't know how to count this. Okay, so you can see in the Yama Divas. So it goes on. Sorry, what's going on? Okay, in the Tusita Divas, one day is 400 human years, and lifespan is 4,000 celestial years, and the total human years is 576 million years. Unbelievable, isn't it? Tusita Divas, Tao Suy Tin. So, and I recall the story of Master Hsü Yin when he was beaten by those rebels when he was 112 years old. He went into this samadhi for 7 days, and after that he came out, and his students asked him, "Where were you?" He said, "I was up in Tusita Diva as well." So, and one day up there is 400 human years, so he was away for 7 human days, so it's less than like a minute there, or less than an hour there, right? So interesting. So in the realm of delight in creating, so one day, this is astronomical. I don't even know how to say this. One day is 800 human years, and lifespan is 8,000 celestial years, and the total years is what, 2.34304 e to the 9. That's what my calculator tell me. So I don't know how to say that.
You ran out of digits.
Yeah, is that e to the 9? Any mathematician here?
2,304,000,000.
Really? 2,304,000,000. Okay, we have a mathematician here. Let us take his words as true. Okay. So, and so the next, what's going on here? Here, this one. Divas who wield power over others' creations. One day is 1,600 human years. Lifespan is 16,000 celestial years. Okay. Now, Galen, prepare. Total human years is 9.216 e to the 9. So it's 9,260,000,000 years. Okay. Yes.
Can you explain the divas who wield power over others' creations? I don't know what that even means.
That means it's way above. It's the top. It's the top, way top heavens. Oh, remember that story? You probably forgot. There was a story about this Seka king. He was in one kingdom. He was in one place, and he thought, well, I've been here long enough, and then they are all established. I could go to the other world. So he traveled to another direction, and then he settled down there for so many million years. And he said, "Oh, they have been settled, and I can go over there to the other." So that is what is meant by that. So it's the highest heaven. So this is the Buddha said. The Buddha said that is the merits of upkeeping Uposatha observance, doing Uposatha observance. That's the merits, that's the benefits. And that's how luminous this practice is. So he said, it is with reference to this that I said human kingship is poor compared to divine happiness. It's obvious, isn't it? It's obvious. Human kingship, why is it obvious? Why is human kingship is poor compared to divine happiness?
Fleeting, even though it might be some...
Fleeting, yeah. And also? Fleeting. What about upon the breakup of your body? Can you bring the kingship with you? No, you can. You're born naked, you go naked. That's what the Chinese saying also always say. You're born naked, you go naked. It's just people put clothes on you, that's all. Right? Only karma follows you, nothing follows you. Your money don't go with you, the fame don't go with you, nobody goes with you, nothing goes with you, only your karma follows you. Okay, so these two things you can see that is really incomparable to divine happiness. Just these two reasons. Just these two reasons are enough to tell you kingship in the human world is really poor compared to divine happiness. Okay? So, ready for reflections? Done. Really? Okay. So what is the difference between the first 5 precepts and the last 3 precepts? Why would the Buddha add extra 3 precepts to Uposatha observance, not just the 5? A lot of you have taken 5 precepts. I mean, here a lot of you have taken 5 precepts. Why would the Buddha actually add 3 more precepts there? Nora? Oh yeah, unmute all of them, please.
Yep.
You're all unmute, so turn on your mic and speak. Thank you, Nora.
Said that the last 3 help us learn to deal with craving.
That's great, good.
But also, doing something extra is more like being a monastic than just observing the 5 as a layperson.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Anybody else? Very good. Thank you, Nora. Anybody else? We have a very small group here tonight. Anybody volunteers? Any idea? Any more? There should be a little bit more. Yes, Eva?
Well, if you're using that to practice as a...
Tisa, go ahead. Tisa, go ahead. Mali, yeah.
I think the last 3 are more sensual pleasures, and as lay people, it's something that we need to be really trained on.
Okay, good, yeah. Very good.
Usually, when you go for movies or dances, whatever, right? You are creating craving using your eyes and then
Yeah.
ears.
Ears, in your mind.
Yeah, you want to avoid that.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Okay. Eva?
If you're using it that one day is like closer to monastic training or like a retreat
Yeah.
type atmosphere, then those are the only outlets that you would have left for desire to kind of creep into, right? So you want to stay in bed longer, or you want to have the extra meal, because if you're in that environment already, there's very few opportunities for that craving to arise. So it's hurting it.
Okay. Okay. So Eva said that because you're in that environment, so there's little opportunities for that craving to arise. Okay. Anybody else? Irene, yes.
Detach from the things that you really on a daily basis that you don't understand, that you don't realize.
Okay, detach. Great, thank you. Catherine? Yes.
Yeah, that helps us more for us to experience the monastic life, so
Yeah.
we can enhance ourselves to
Yeah.
grow, to inspire us all more towards our path.
Good. So, very good. Yeah. So that's good. So bear in mind the 5 precepts are actually the foundations, right? The foundations. And the last 3 precepts actually is progressive for you to progress more, for you to commit more, so that you progress, you grow, and so give you that experience that, oh, progression is like this, and commitment is like this. So if you can you imagine if every month you spend 6 days in a monastery? I bet we will have more nuns here. Right? So so remember, the first 5 are the really basic foundations that all householder really should actually observe. But the 3 actually are the supporting force to pursue on a really serious spiritual life. Okay? Yeah.
The last 3 precepts actually in a household daily living. So
Yeah.
it's so easy. You see the eating.
Yeah.
Restaurant,
Yeah, restaurant,
the
movies,
movies.
yeah, entertainments,
Yeah.
yeah,
Also entertainment.
and
so
makeup,
easy.
and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That's why I think that's why Buddha put this. Because we are just doing this without
awareness,
craving.
yeah,
Craving
Yeah.
so much.
yeah. So Sansi said is because as householder, these last 3 precepts, you could easily be trapped by it during a day-to-day life. So the craving constantly arise without awareness, without mindfulness. Then you're constantly being trapped by these cravings. So you go and observe uposatha. Then it's actually giving yourself an opportunity to really progress more and practice more seriously.
I think it really helps with craving when it comes to food.
Yeah, yeah.
With the eat.
Yeah, yeah.
Because constantly you have to be aware of
Yeah.
why you're opening the fridge or why you want food all the time. Or
Yeah, right, yeah.
Constant.
Yeah.
Keep your
Yeah.
awareness of
Yeah. Corey said that it's really help you to keep your awareness. For example, about the food, while you're opening the fridge door. Why do you want food? Why it's actually help you to develop that awareness. That's why it's really a progressive thing. Great. Okay. So, we'll talk about that. What is the purpose of the last precept? So, So what do the merits of the 8 factors of Uposatha observance? Why do you think the merits of these 8 factors, these 8 precepts, could surpass the kingship in human world? I asked that question. You answered that already. We answered that already, right? Just okay. So Catherine, you have something to say? Okay, Catherine. You have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Because one day of taking the precept, it's only equal to
1/16th. Yeah.
Yeah. Of the
kingship.
Yeah.
Kingship. Yeah.
Kingship in human world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, yes.
I just have a question. You said that the 4 great kings come and check on the 6 Uposatha days.
Yeah.
But what about the 10 Uposatha?
The 10 Uposatha days are Chinese tradition. It's not in the Nikaya. It runs in the Chinese tradition. Okay. So Varsha was asking questions about, I said about the 4 great kings coming into the world to check on the human beings on the 6 Uposatha days. And she asked me, what about the 10 Uposatha days? I said the 10 Uposatha days are actually run in the Chinese tradition, the Mahayana tradition. And some only do a couple new moon and full moon, because those are the days that monastics actually read their precepts. So for the Southeast Asian monastics, they only have the bhikkhus or bhikkhunis precepts. But for northern tradition, the Mahayana tradition, we have the Bodhisattva precepts, and we have the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis precepts. So normally we spend 4 days a month to read those precepts, but sometimes we consolidate it into 2 days. So one day we read the Bodhisattva and we read the bhikkhunis precepts. And then half a month later, then we read the bhikkhuni, and then we read the Bodhisattva. But some places they separate it into 2 Bodhisattva precepts day and 2 bhikkhunis or bhikkhus precepts recitation day. So on those days, they could also run Uposatha observance for householder. Okay? Yeah.
I'm wondering if the kingship could also be like the merits developed in the Deva world are so much greater, because that means that you've gained some sovereignty over yourself in some way. And if you're a king here, you may not have sovereignty over yourself, but you have sovereignty over others.
Okay. Yeah, Merit ever said that for the Uposatha, people who actually observe the Uposatha, or the kings, right? The 4 great kings you were mentioning, or just anybody?
I don't know. I was thinking anyone. If
anybody who actually are observing this Uposatha gain some sovereignty of themselves, but whereas the king is only gaining sovereignty of what? Over others. It could be right. Yeah. Okay, why do the merits of the 8 factors of Uposatha observance surpass the kingship in human world? We talked about that just now. Because it's fleeting, because you cannot bring it over. You cannot bring it after this life. So in the sutra, it said, a noble disciple reflects thus: as long as they live, the arahants abandon the destruction of life, and so on and so forth. So what does reflect mean in here, and why is it so important? It says in here, right? Here, monks a noble disciple reflects thus, and further he reflects, and da 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 da. So why would he say reflects? What does it entail? What does reflection entail?
Maybe that he reflects, recognizes, and understands, and therefore wants to attain the same.
Able to follow. Okay. First I said that he reflects, and what's the second one?
He reflects and understands.
Reflects and understands.
Yes.
And then he will be able to follow. Okay, reflects and understands and able to follow. Then that means able to progress and attains. Right? Anybody else? Why is reflecting so important here? Nora, yes, please.
Well, I think it's also becoming aware, right? When you reflect, you become aware. And you're mindful, maybe.
Maybe only? Okay. Okay.
Along the same lines.
Yes.
That if you're reflecting on something, hopefully it's inspiring change or some sort of progress in you. And if you're not reflecting, then you're not moving in any direction.
Yeah. So reflecting, Laurie said, it's sort of like along the same line as Nora is. You're paying attention, and then you move along. If you don't reflect, then you're sort of like a standstill. So reflecting for me here, I think is really putting the heart in there. Firstly, is being mindful, because you need to be mindful first to be aware of the merits, or to be aware of these precepts. Then you start on reflecting, checking on yourselves. Reflecting, that means you're checking on yourselves. And when one starts to check on oneself, one will see one's shortcomings. One would realize that one's shortcomings, or one would realize that one's craving, or one's ignorance or negligence. And only then we'll be able to know where we should actually put our efforts in this time to change and to correct. So we actually enlighten and inspire ourselves by reflecting. And of course, the Arahants actually presents a perfect role model, but we are not perfect. But there is this perfect path for us to walk on. So we have to keep reflecting and keep correcting and keep changing, and to reach that perfection. Yeah? Good. So how do you understand this as long as they live, the Arahants? How do you understand why would he say as long as they live? No? Anybody volunteers? Or anybody have any views?
If there are arahats, will it be an infinite amount of time?
Once they have attained arahat, would they die just right away like that? Oh, Tisa, did you put up your hand?
Yes, I think the arahant meaning that they are enlightened. That means they have no lobha dosa moha. That means lobha means greed, dosa means aversion, and moha means ignorance. They have overcome all of these things. So that is why, they have this knowledge.
Okay. So why would say, well, yes, Mali?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was
Okay.
I was thinking aloud, sorry.
Okay, thinking aloud.
What are you thinking?
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? As long as they live. Huh? Nora, yes.
No more rebirths.
Yeah. No more rebirths. It's only this life. No more rebirths. And even though arahants attained arahantship, they don't need to. They don't necessarily need to go into that nibbana. They could still go on to live as an arahant. Okay, but yet during the rest of that life, after they have attained that fruit of arahantship, they will not go back to the person before they attained arahantship, to that person anymore. So that means he or she will not go back to craving, tanha, all those craving, anger, ill will, animosity, those stages anymore. So they will live as an arahant as long as they live, and then they will abide by this morality as long as they live. But us, little weaker, up and down, little weaker, up and down, little like swinging in the wind, blowing in the wind, right? Not little weaker, very weak. Right? So we need to commit ourselves, at least try to commit ourselves. We cannot compare to the arahant, to that of the arahant, but at least we need try to commit ourselves to 1 day and 1 night as householder, And so that is for tonight. Okay. Good. Any questions? Yes, Irene?
I have a question.
Yes.
For number 6, if we refrain, we only eat 1 meal or 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch, and if you eat afternoon, that means that we're not on precept.
It's only when you are taking the uposatha.
Right, I understand. Yeah, on those days.
Yes.
Like here, like working, and sometimes it's very hard to stick to eat before noon.
Okay, then if you really want to observe the uposatha while you're working on those days, at night you can have some skillful ways. Is you can drink honey water, or you can have smoothie. Some preceptor says, as long as you don't need to chew. You know what I mean? Okay, so not just clear water. You can have honey water. You can have ginger lemon. You can have smoothie, and in Theravadan world, they can eat chocolates too, and cheese. But I don't recommend that. I don't recommend. If you're really observing uposatha, I want you to observe it seriously, and try as much as possible. So if you want to observe uposatha while you're working, eat a full lunch and come home, you can have some really light ginger water. Don't put honey into it, because honey will, be sweet and stimulate your gastric enzymes. And observe the feelings of hunger. A lot of times it's actually not really hungry, it's the mind, the craving of the mind that actually wants the food. And if you cannot do it, don't do it on your working days, do it on weekends. Okay?
But if you eat after noon, then it's not considered. But it's considered, if you eat, just like when you're working, you get a meeting, but you didn't get out the meeting until like after 12 o'clock. But that is not considered proper time, right?
Maybe she have to take the lunch after 12 noon.
That's okay, as long as you keep it 2 meals in a day. Don't eat it at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay? Don't eat it at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. Then that is really way too far from 12 o'clock. All right? Okay? So stop using 6 pillows. Yeah.
I think Laurie should give up the pillow tonight.
What? Laurie should give up pillows tonight?
No, just one.
Oh, Laurie should give up 1 pillow tonight. And then 2 tomorrow?
Maybe weekly interval.
Okay. Well, you can advise her then.
We'll have a talk.
Okay. So we will dedicate our merits. May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the other living beings together will attain the Buddha way. May we wish more and more people will encounter the wise words of the Buddha, study them, understand them, practice them, and help themselves to liberate from their own sufferings and be truly happy and peaceful and liberated.